Crystal Peters, Margie.
You remind me of Hilary Duff a little bit.
Thank you so much.
You do. The Jonas Brothers craze. They had me in a chokehold.
They had
when
me
I was a 13-year-old.
wrapped around their guitar strings.
Like, do girls like this movie?
I didn't care for it, but see, I didn't really watch it. Welcome back to a very special edition of the podcast, because today we are talking about lessons from Disney Channel original movies, the stuff our childhood was made of.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. If you are a millennial, most likely you grew up on Disney Channel original movies, or DCOMs, as we like to call them.
Yes.
As soon as that little clip came up of the kids jumping in and out of film reels and doing toe touches and backflips.
They had the wands.
Oh, the wands for
John
the
and
Mickey. You knew you were about to see something both cringy and fantastic at the same time.
Yes.
And so we thought we would do an episode where we go through some of our favorite DCOMs and talk about some of the lessons that it taught us that we still use today.
Yeah, and it is the first Wednesday of July, so I thought, what better time than the midst of summer to be talking about Disney Channel original movies? Because wasn't that such a good time when it's like middle of summer and you're watching your favorite DCOM and you're going in the pool afterwards and you have a popsicle. That's very specific to me. Those Walmart popsicles.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's so good.
I had those too because, I mean, we both grew up in the South. Felicia grew up in Florida. I grew up in Georgia, and it was hot in the summer. So that was how you basically stayed alive. And also, like, Disney Channel had, like, the best DCOMs premiere in the summer, too. Like, I remember when High School Musical 2 premiered that summer. It was insane. And I think it broke, all records at that point. It was crazy.
It broke the internet.
It literally broke the internet. But, I mean, it was amazing. Like, new movies coming out, and it was so exciting. And then your like favorite shows on Disney Channel would have like special episodes premiere after the DCOM, and so it was just like this whole night. I had my little box TV. It was literally probably this big, the screen. It was a little box TV. It had a spot for a VHS, and I had that in my room.
Yeah,
I had that in my room, and I would just be in my room watching Disney Channel. I was so excited. And so we're gonna relive that here today. We've got some popcorn, and we're going to dive in. So, if you haven't seen our other episodes where we talk about movies, you'll have to check them out.
Oh,
we did one on lessons from rom-coms on Valentine's Day. So we'll link to that below. And then we also did one last Christmas on lessons from Christmas movies. So you'll have to check those out. Those are really good too. So,
and I'm really curious too.
Yeah.
Comment below if you were a Disney Channel or if you were like a Nickelodeon person, because I've done a survey on my Instagram before, and I noticed that guys were more Nickelodeon and another channel, I forget the name, and then Cartoon Network, that's what it is, and then girls maybe leaned more towards Disney. So I want to know. I'm curious.
I think that tends to happen. My little brother was big on Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
But I was full on Disney Channel.
Me too.
Amazing. Let us know in the comments below, and tell us what your favorite DCOM is.
Oh, yes.
Because there really was so many. I was going through the list preparing for this episode, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there were so many. It'd be like 10 in a year. I'm like, what? Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, draw one.
I just want it to be popcorn.
I know, right? It's so depressing. It's like paper.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da.
Cadet Kelly.
I'm first. All right, Cadet Kelly. This is the one I was least confident about too.
I'm just thinking of their dance off, right? That really cringy, like them just staring straight face.
One of the most cringy moments in any DCOM is in this movie, where Hilary Duff and Christy Carlson Romano have to do their little military dance, which, yes, I said those two words together. And the ribbons pop out, and they start doing ribbon dancing, and that is not what we're talking about here today.
Oh, you have so much pain.
I know, it's so bad. Jeff was saying that you and I should recreate that dance shot for shot.
We should.
So let us know if we should do that.
Yeah.
But Cadet Kelly, this one, I think, like, I always really liked it, but I didn't realize how much I liked it. I think because I was always a big Hilary Duff fan. And
you remind me of Hilary Duff a little bit.
Thank you so much.
You do.
That is the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
I say all the nice things on the podcast.
On the podcast. So she looks really, really sweet. But yeah, I loved Hilary Duff. I loved Lizzie McGuire, which that was like, you know, I feel like when I was coming up in like middle school, which Felicia was younger, but when I was coming up in middle school, like the Disney Channel shows were kind of like the first round of Disney Channel shows that were really popular. Like Lizzie McGuire, That's So Raven, even Stevens. Those were kind of like the first round of them that I think really got like crazy popular. Yeah. And then you see the other shows kind of modeled after those shows a lot. Mm-hmm. Lizzie McGuire was huge. So when Cadet Kelly came out, it was, you know, Hilary Duff and Christy Carlson Romano. So they were both amazing. And just the idea of military school, Hilary Duff in military school, like it was so great. So I recommend after this episode, sometime this summer, you should go back through some of your favorite DCOMs and check out some of these if you haven't seen them, because it's really a blast from the past. But this movie, what I was thinking about in this movie, the lesson that it taught me is really the concept about understanding where other people are coming from. Because I see the friendship between Hilary Duff and Christy Carlson Romano. I don't remember their character names, but the relationship between them starts off so rigid, right? Like they do not get along at all. And they seem like complete polar opposites. And then by the end of the movie, they're doing a ribbon dance together. So, I mean, clearly something changed, right?
They went a long way. Yeah.
But in Disney Channel fashion, right? It's not quite, you know, parallel to real life, but they really kind of find out that they're really not that different. And I think in my own life, I think about a lot of times us as girls, sometimes when you're dealing with someone who is maybe giving you the cold shoulder or is maybe difficult or kind of more strict and rigid with you and just not like, it maybe seems like there's an issue there. A lot of times it's easy to take it personally and go, oh, it's about me, they don't like me, or they're just like a jerk, or, you know, whatever names we give those kinds of girls, right? Mm-hmm. And it can be easy to just kind of write it off. But I think something that this movie showed me is there's so much more going on below the surface. A lot of times girls act a certain way because of a myriad of different things, right? Maybe the guy they like doesn't like them back, right? Maybe they're heartbroken. Maybe they had a good girlfriend and she completely deserted her, you know? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's so many things that could be going on in someone's life. Most of the time, the way people treat you has nothing to do with you. And if we always just kind of react the way people are treating us, then we're never going to know the kinds of friendships that we could have. And maybe you're called into someone's life to help pull them out of that situation and into a better situation. And just to always remember that how people treat us, it's not always about us, and to kind of see beyond the hurt and go deeper into the person and kind of figure out what's going on there. So
yeah, and it's like a lot of times too, we see maybe there's a girl that's very different from us, and we think, oh, we wouldn't get along, or we wouldn't have anything in common, like we couldn't be good friends.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, it's those people that God puts in our path, or that puts us in their path, because we're needing to learn something from them or teach them something, or like, I don't know, because I think about in that movie, it's kind of a blur.
Yeah.
But I think about in that movie, like by the end of it, Hilary Duff, or is her name Kelly? Because it's called Cadet Kelly.
Okay. Yeah. So Hilary Duff is Kelly.
Okay, that makes sense.
She is the Cadet Kelly.
She is the Cadet Kelly. Like, she starts out not really caring, you know, undisciplined. She doesn't really care. And, you know, that's kind of what we loved about her in the movie. But by the end, she starts to value their character traits, right? Yes. So it's like she learned something from that girl, and that girl learned something from her too. Like, I think she kind of loosened up a little bit. Yeah. So it could be that you're just like needing to learn quality traits from that person, you know?
It's so true. There have been several times when like I've developed a friendship with a girl that on the outside I would have normally thought she would never want to be my friend. You know, like, you know, I maybe see her as just like a cool girl, or like I never got along with like the cool girls, right? So sometimes as an adult that still comes out, and you can kind of think like, oh, I would never get along with her, but yet they're so attracted to like something in you, and then like you become good friends, and you're like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't let that stop me. You
know? Yeah.
And it's just so important. Yeah, sometimes God brings you into people's life for you to learn something. Sometimes you're there to help someone else. And sometimes there's just like really great friendships that could come where you least expect it. I mean, a lot of my greatest friendships have come from places where I really didn't like necessarily expect it. It just kind of happened. And I think that's like the best way, you know? And so, I mean, I had to, you know, she married my husband's friend, so we kind of had to be friends.
Kind of, but yeah, we really didn't have a choice.
No, I honestly like I didn't know if we would get along, you know.
And then we ended up getting along so well, and it was so like, wait, this is crazy because I would have been friends with you whether or not, you know.
Like,
but would that opportunity have even presented itself?
No, that's you were in Florida.
That is true.
It's like we're like, wait, did we just become best friends? Like.
Yeah, I remember one of the moments where we were like dancing and we were like, we really like each other.
Do we like each other? So our friendship is not understood by many.
That's a friendship in a nutshell, a very condensed version.
I remember being in your house. I think like you were getting married, and like I remember being like with you. I think I was staying the night at your parents' house.
Oh, well, that would have been when our friends were getting married.
Oh, no, remember? That's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Our other friends were getting married. You were just dating.
Yeah, I was still dating him.
And I remember I stayed the night at your house, and I was like kind of scared to stay in that room.
It was kind of scary.
And it was like your sister's room. And so I went into your room, and like we watched The Office for like hours and talked, and I was like, yeah, this is going to work out. This is good stuff. You may get married now, right? Like,
Brian, you're good to go.
Brian, you're good to go. Let's do this thing. But yeah, really, there's so many friendships out there that you don't even know you need.
Or that you don't even know are going to happen.
Are going to happen. And it's really amazing. I mean, again, some of my greatest friendships, I'm just like, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. Like, doesn't even make sense how that happened. Yeah. But you have to be open to it. You can't be so closed off.
That's
and I
true.
think that movie kind of, you know, shows a lot of that in true Disney fashion. So.
Yeah, that's a huge part of friendship is like just being able to put yourself out there. Yeah. That's a huge part of making friends is that element. And sometimes that's the hardest part to get across, you know?
Yeah.
The hardest line to go across.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time.
Okay, I hope it better not be me again. I just got to say that.
I'm really ready to talk about my movie.
I know. Okay. The 13th year.
Ooh, oh, nice. Okay, so I don't know. Like, do girls like this movie a lot? I need to know.
Okay.
I loved this movie.
I didn't care for it, but see, I didn't really watch it because I did not think the main guy was cute, and that for me that was like a big determining factor.
Okay, we've talked about this before. Okay, he wasn't like, I didn't think he was that attractive or anything, but we've talked about it, and didn't you say you liked the guy from that Irish movie?
Okay, wait, let me say, Look at the Irish.
Smart House? Same guy,
but he's older in Look at the Irish.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, I think he's cuter than the guy in the 13th year. But it's not like I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. But I kind of thought he was cuter, you know?
That's true. That's
so
true.
I could watch that.
The 13th year guy may be cuter than that guy.
Comment below and help us solve this conundrum.
We need a lot of support from this episode. We have a lot of questions.
Support. This is like what made us who we are.
Yeah, that is so true.
Let us know what your thought process was as a 13-year-old girl. Yeah. But yeah, 13th year. So what lessons are in there?
That was all I was planning on doing.
Oh my God.
No, I'm kidding. Okay. So I tried to watch this to prepare. I've seen it so many times. I tried to watch it and I was like, I don't know if I can get through it at this point in my life, but it's still a really good movie. And right off the bat, it was like I noticed a lesson, and it was when the mom, she's a mermaid, and she has her baby.
No big deal.
And she has her baby, and it's obviously the boy, and she has to go drop this baby off with just in the world. She just has to go let it go. And I think it's because he wasn't a mermaid until he was 13. He wouldn't be able to like live underwater or something, probably.
Because the dad was a human?
I don't know.
I don't know. This is, guys, there was some deep stuff covered in these DCOMs.
Conspiracy.
This is how I learned about anatomy. And
it probably was because the dad was a mermaid. Or not a mermaid.
A human, yeah.
Maybe it was the dad. Okay, whatever. So anyway, so she drops this baby off, and she has to kind of say goodbye while he goes and lives his life on Earth. And I really saw that as when Jesus is leaving the earth and he says to his disciples, I actually think I wrote down the verse, when Jesus says, where I'm going, you cannot follow me now, but you shall follow me afterwards.
Wow.
And
that's deep. Deep waters.
Deep.
Right
it
there.
is deep. Like, she had to let go. And she had to let him live his life. And it's not super biblical because the Holy Spirit lives inside of us. But it's like when we're on this earth, we're not of this earth anymore if we're a child of God. But the Holy Spirit is with us. But like Jesus had to go. Like he had to leave. He's sitting with the Father. And like we're here to still live on this earth and be the salt and light. And like we're not, like I said, like we're not citizens of earth anymore, but we are here. And it was just kind of a beautiful reflection because when he starts changing, like, and he starts noticing that like stuff is strange and like it's scary, right? And it made me kind of also think of like when we're on earth and we start to develop like the character traits of God, like when we're forming into his image because we're his child, like we're a child of God, and we start like having those character traits, it can be kind of strange and we might want to try to hide them from people, you know, because it kind of feels like when we become more like Jesus, it's like we're this square peg in a round hole when we're on this world because the world is so different than us, right? And so I was just thinking about all this.
So much deeper than I thought it was going to be.
I got really deep. I got really deep here, but yes, anyway. So he just has to, by the end of the movie, embrace his identity. And even though all these changes are happening, once he embraces them, the people in his life learn to embrace them too, you know? And I think that's a big thing. It's like when we're scared of becoming more like Jesus because we think that it's going to like cause judgment from other people and stuff, like just remember that your identity is a child of God. You know, you're not of this world. Yeah, you're a mermaid.
You're of the aquatic world.
You're of the aquatic world. Exactly.
That's actually a really good comparison.
And then he like leaves at the end and he's like fully become a mermaid and he goes off.
I do remember that scene.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The rest of it's kind of a blur. The rest of the movie.
Yeah.
But I do remember him like getting shocked and like he started to develop fins on his arms. And as a Florida kid that like really liked the beach when I was little, that was so cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool. The idea of becoming a mermaid is very exciting.
Yeah.
Which I loved. That made me love the movie. It's not a DCOM, but Aquamarine.
Oh my gosh.
That was the one I loved because I loved the idea of being a mermaid.
Such a good movie.
I loved Sarah Paxton. And
me too. She was so pretty.
Oh my gosh, I know. I mean, I'm sure she still is. I haven't seen her, but I'm sure she still is. But it was amazing. Yeah. So it's just that concept of being a mermaid.
Yeah. You know what I think of from that movie that I love is these earrings. You remember the starfish earrings that they'd give you compliments? You would put them on your ears, and they were like they would just tell you how amazing you were. And I was like, I want a pair of little starfish that sat on my ears and would tell me like, you're doing great today.
Well, isn't that the Holy Spirit?
That's true. Yes.
We make everything spiritual on this show. But yeah, so that was my mermaid movie. But
yeah.
Anyway, no, I just think that's such a good point. And I never really watched that movie. But but I think that's just a really neat point. Yeah, it's like sometimes you feel like you don't belong. And it's because we don't. And but that's okay. We don't have to belong here because this isn't our permanent home. And so just being okay that maybe you don't fit in, being okay that maybe you're not the norm, that's okay. That's as it should be. And just being okay with that and realizing that there's another destiny for us. And, you know, people are really tired of the status quo anyway, you know? They don't, like, people don't necessarily look up to people that are exactly the same as them or exactly the same as the world. Like, they just don't. You know, the people you look up to tend to be people who stand out in a certain way. And so not being afraid of that is really good.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
I'm like, it's your turn.
Go grab
that popcorn.
I wish this was real popcorn.
I know.
Go ahead and pop some popcorn and put some DCOMs on after this.
For us, since we're lacking, yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm like, Holy Spirit, lead me to Jessica's. That worked. Because it's Zenon.
Xenon. Zenos Lapidus, Margie. That's my only note for this movie. Zenon. Girl of the 21st Century. Guys, this is one of those DCOMs where you can watch it again and it is so good. And you know it's good and it's amazing. And you can keep watching it. I can't say that about any of the sequels, but...
Is that their official name, the sequels?
Yeah, there's like... Zenon the sequel. Oh, and then there's Z3. Zenon Z3. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
It got kind of weird. I don't know. But the first one is amazing. And it reminds me so much of the Disney World Park Epcot, like the future world. Yes. How Walt Disney imagined the future is very 80s feeling. And that's how Zenon feels, like the whole movie. So that just makes me feel really good. But
I wonder which one came first. I'm like, did he get inspiration? No, of course not.
No. Wow.
Never mind. Cut that
out. So Epcot opened in early 80s. This came out in the early 2000s.
Timeline's a little off.
25-year gap. Anyway, that's okay.
That's okay.
So Zenon, obviously, this girl who lives in space and then gets in trouble and has to be sent to Earth to live with her aunt as punishment for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, like, she just, hates Earth, hates everything. And then she kind of, space is the best. Which I'm like, space terrifies me.
Yeah, I would not want to.
But anyway, in this universe, it's safe. But then something happens on the spaceship, and she has to come save them, so she becomes a hero. Anyway, and then there's, like, the rock star, and that's great, like, supernova girl, right?
That's the part I remember is the end of the movie when they're all watching him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, boom. Yeah, okay. Anyway, gotta watch it. Okay, so anyway, she goes to Earth, though, and at first she kind of has this attitude of, we're the best in space, and the way you guys do things is primitive, and just, she kind of just has no interest in anyone or anything there. And, there's a love interest, and so that usually stirs things along. But she kind of starts to realize, especially through this guy, she starts to learn the beauty of Earth and the beauty of, like, animals and, like, something real and something solid. And, like, just there's this whole journey she kind of goes on to kind of realizing that there's other ways of living. There's other, in our world, we could say, there's other cultures, there's other traditions, there's other ways of doing things and other ways of thinking. And I think that's why travel is so important. I don't think you have to travel to get this, but I think travel is super, super important.
Traveling to space?
Travel to space? Not quite. Not yet, anyway. Some people are. But, yeah, just experience being open to other people and other cultures. And especially here in America, you're probably going to meet tons of people. I mean, we're a melting pot of people and cultures. And so you're already going to meet people from all different kinds of cultures and languages and backgrounds. And the more I travel, the more I just see so many different ways of not just, like, doing things, but ways of thinking. And yeah, sometimes it just makes me grateful for America. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything, but sometimes it just opens your eyes to, like, oh yeah, like that's an interesting thought, or that's an interesting way of doing it, or they like to do this and not this. And it just can really make you much more of a well-rounded person, because at the beginning of the movie, Zenon is kind of annoying. And then towards the end of the movie, she's just much more of a well-rounded person. I mean, as much as a 13-year-old could be, right? Right, these were our idols as a kid. But I think those experiences really just kind of made her a more well-rounded person. And so I think, kind of being open to those experiences and the way different people think and approach things and do things, I think is just really important to help you become a more likable person, especially as an adult.
Yeah, that's true. And I can't recall if you were in this meeting, but we were in, like, a leadership meeting at work, and they were talking about how when you are about to start a job, or you haven't done a certain thing at work before, or just in life, you can have a really high confidence level.
Oh, yeah, like the confidence graph.
Yeah, the confidence graph. And it was like showing that when you don't know something, you're a lot more confident, but then as you learn it and you realize how much you didn't know, your confidence goes down, but it's actually, like, healthy.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of kind of what she was going through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That actually sounds exactly what Xenon went through, because she starts off really confident, but it's kind of like arrogant because she doesn't realize how much she doesn't know. And then it's like the more you learn, your confidence shoots down because you realize how much you don't know. But then as you continue, it kind of goes up again, but it never reaches that same height that you originally had, because that wasn't a healthy place to be, right? It wasn't a healthy confidence. It was an arrogant, what's it called? Like ignorant confidence, right? And so, that's really the journey she goes on. And I think that's the journey we all have to go on with different things. And so it's just important, especially as an adult, just to remember, like, as we go through things, it's easy to get stuck in our ways of doing things, our ways of thinking. And it's just good to always remember that there's always other people out there who have a different perspective, and that can be really valuable, and that accepting that and learning from that and being open to that from other people can actually help you become a more well-rounded person that people enjoy being around.
Yeah, it's true. Like, those people are much more enjoyable to be around. Like, the ones that have questions and tell you, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Like, that kind of person is a lot more approachable, and you can, like, relate to them instead of that person that acts like they know everything. Because I've tried to, like, act confident, fake it till you make it at work before, when I feel like I am lost. And it's okay to be like, I've never done this, so I'm not really sure. Like, can I get help? People don't think that's a bad quality.
No, people relate to those things more than they relate to the fake confidence, right? Yeah. And you give other people permission to be okay with not knowing everything too. So you can kind of be a leader in that and help other people realize, hey, just because you don't understand something or you're not super good at something right away doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's okay. It's a process. So many of us are such perfectionists. Yeah. Right? But just giving other people the permission to kind of grow and learn along with you can really help people. So
that's true. I think it's time.
I wonder what this one is, right?
I don't know. We shall see. Is it me?
It's you. Okay. All right. Shake it, shake it, shake it.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Camp Rock.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I am so excited about this one. This one is a pivotal point of my life. So we were talking kind of about how a lot of the millennials were Disney Channel original movies. But I think Camp Rock almost fell closer to, like, I was going to say this littler.
The lower class millennial. The younger. Because by the time Camp Rock came out, I was kind of about to go into college. And so I think I was a little bit, like, kind of leaving that phase, even though I still secretly loved it. And then also, I was big into High School Musical.
Yeah, and it was similar.
Yeah, it's so similar. So I kind of rode that train with High School Musical. So then when Camp Rock came out, I was really excited for the first one, but I was kind of, starting to leave that phase. Yeah. But I remember the draw of the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, so if you were like a younger millennial, or if you were even a Gen Z, this might have been your movie. But also, I was, like you just mentioned, the Jonas Brothers craze. I was in the thick of that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
They had me in a chokehold.
They had
when I was a 13-year-old.
Wrapped around their guitar strings.
Their guitar pick. If my mom is watching this, or any part of my family, they will remember, like, my wall splattered with posters.
What were those magazines?
Oh, I would go, whenever I went to town, I would get one from Walgreens.
And they would have, like, the posters in them, and I would unfold it and put it on my wall.
Yes, that was such a good time.
So good.
Okay, so that is a setup for where I was. And then I was also, like, I thought of myself as the main character of that movie. Of course. Yep. But, like, I loved music. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a singer. And, like, I wanted to, I didn't want to marry Joe Jonas, but I wanted to marry Nick Jonas.
Nick Jonas.
Like, right there,
Comment below what Jonas brother did you have a crush on?
Yes, please.
Because, see, I liked Nick as well, but my pop star dreams were lived through Hannah Montana.
Oh,
and Miley dated Nick. And so I was like, I am...
Do you remember that episode where the Jonas Brothers came?
Yeah, oh my God.
I almost lost my mind.
That was amazing.
Okay. Yes, this is a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to unpack here.
Okay, so anyways, to get into Camp Rock.
Yes.
That's where I'm coming from when I was watching this as a child. I don't know what age I was. But anyway, she wasn't able to afford camp. But her parents were able to figure out a way where she could go that year to this Camp Rock that basically you play music and stuff. And when she gets there, like, she is shy, but she slowly kind of, becomes braver and starts singing in front of people. And then everyone's like, oh, she has the best voice. And everything works out really well.
Everything works out peachy for her.
Yeah, peachy keen.
So happy.
Okay, and so the lesson from this movie is there was like the bad girl, like the girl that basically thought of herself really highly, and she was the leader of the camp. Like, everybody kind of looked up to her. She was really rich, and she finds out that, well, Mitchie lies to this girl and says, like, oh, my mom has this really fancy job. And so they bring Mitchie into the cool girl group, but they also know that she's a really good singer. And so Mitchie is like, oh, for the final jam, I think it's called, or like for the final thing, I'm going to do a solo. Like, I want to sing by myself. And this girl is intimidated by her. So she's like, oh, that's really brave of you to want to do this for your first thing. Why don't you just sing with us? Like, why don't you just be a backup singer with me? And in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what our enemy does to us. He sees the potential in us, and he sees the call that God puts on our life, and he uses intimidation because he can't do anything else. He can't stop us from fulfilling the call that God put on our life, but he can intimidate us, make us feel insecure, make us feel like, oh, that's pretty scary. Are you sure you want to go out? Are you sure you want to, speak the truth to that person, Or
like, it's selfish. It's selfish of you to want that, right? You should just...
Yeah,
it's so true. Be fine with what you have. And
exactly. Yeah. And so that just really made me think of how the enemy will try to keep us from going out into the world and trying new things and speaking God's word and, just being brave. Because when she hears her say that, she's like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, I'll just sing with you guys. And she has such a beautiful voice. Like, she has such a beautiful call on her life. But she almost loses that opportunity because of all the tactics that this girl is throwing at her. Like, there's other parts in the movie where she tries to frame her for stealing something. And it's like, at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, stuff works out. She is able to sing and she is able to perform, and like everything works out.
She gets the Jonas brother.
She's Joe Jonas. But it's like, at the end of the day, it kind of makes me think of the verse, you will have troubles, but take heart because I've overcome the world. It's like, at the end of the day, we will overcome the things that are thrown at us. But we shouldn't be surprised when we have hurdles along the way, when we're fulfilling our goal or when we're moving towards the purpose God has put on our life.
Absolutely. That is so good. Yours are so deep.
Yours was deep too.
Oh gosh, I don't know. But basically, like, I love that so much because it's true. The enemy often, like you said, sees the potential in our lives before we do.
Yeah.
And he doesn't attack what he's not threatened by.
Yeah.
So just like that girl, right? Like, she's not going after Mitchie because she's bored, right? It's like she is clearly threatened by her. And that's exactly how the enemy feels about us. And so it can be a really good exercise to kind of look at the things that you're struggling with in your life, whether it's an internal struggle or external circumstances, and instead of being like, man, why can't I get it together, kind of look at it as, wow, the enemy must be terrified of what is in my future, or the enemy must be terrified of what's coming next for me, because why else would there be this much opposition, And I mean, he's really just the bully girl in school, right? Like, that's really all he is. He just wants the attention for himself, and so like, picking your head up and seeing it that way, I think, is really important, because there's so much on your life. There's so much that God has for you. But if you allow intimidation to stop you, then it will. There's nothing stopping you other than your own choice. But we have to be brave enough to look past the intimidation and just keep our eyes on God and go, God, what are you telling me to do?
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. And so
it's so true. And like you watch that and I'm like, why can't she see this? It's so obvious, right? And it's like that's happening in our life.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not as obvious all the time.
We don't always realize it because we're looking at, how we look, how we feel, what our life looks like.
Yeah.
But there's so much more going on than we realize.
Yeah. So true.
Deep thoughts from Camp Rock.
Disney Channel has a lot to say.
It has a lot to say.
Taught us a lot growing up.
It taught us so much.
Even though this is not what I was thinking about when I was watching Disney Channel as a 13-year-old.
No, I wasn't either. I was drinking my chocolate milk.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, yeah. So good.
Oh, yes. But, these movies made us the women that we are today.
Mm-hmm.
And... yeah, I hope that encouraged you guys. And, let us know in the comments again what your favorite DCOM is, because there's a lot that I still haven't seen, and there's a lot more that we could have talked about.
Yeah, like I think of Smart House. I'm like, there's probably a lot of good lessons from
Smart House was almost one that I chose.
Me too.
So I literally didn't choose it because I thought you were going to.
I kind of did the same thing.
Okay, there we go. So we need to watch Smart House.
Yeah.
And there's even like a whole section of like Halloween ones we could do at Halloween time. Because they're like, I think of like Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. That one's so funny.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Me and Brian, we didn't finish it, but we started watching last October. The one about the mommy.
Under Wraps?
Oh my gosh. I liked that movie as a kid.
That's the first DCOM.
That's the first one?
That's the first DCOM.
Wow. And it was kind of, I get scared easily, but that was scary. Like,
was it? I haven't seen it.
I was like, wow, this is a little scary. It probably wouldn't scare you. I was like, Brian, I don't like this.
Brian, a little scared. Okay, so watch with caution.
Yeah, watch with caution.
But yeah, let us know what you think below. And I encourage you to watch some of these because there's a lot of good lessons that you learn, a lot of cringe moments that you'll have to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I watched that. But
yeah, Camp Rock is pretty cringe.
Camp Rock, all the movies that I've talked about have been pretty cringe. But they're also really good. So
yeah,
got some movies to watch this summer. If you enjoyed this episode, then be sure and subscribe to our channel so you can check out all of our episodes coming at you this summer. And also we'll link to our other lessons from movies episodes below for you to check out as well.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, we're also on Instagram and Facebook, so make sure to check us out on there. And until next week, remember
to have courage
and be kind.